Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians or choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
If I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now I need to scoot over here. I never know where I am going to end up here. Okay. Okay, just give me a minute. Alrighty. I really need to reorganize earlier, but I am so crazy. I'm running all over the place. Well, I am so surprised there are so many people here early. Thank you, Bren. It's not your fault. We have some people in Colorado that I'm not particularly proud of exporting. But boy, these gems keep getting sent to me. This probably won't be a terribly long show. I've been trying to do better. But let's do the preliminaries first. I have my shameless grifting at the beginning of each show. I have a 2021 Patreon goal that I'm $5 now a month away from making. Yesterday, I forgot what it was, but it was $5 less, whatever. I got a new patron last night that put me down to just needing $5 a month more if you like this kind of content, which you really do not hear anywhere because if you're on the LNC and you do this kind of content, they remove your ass, as I know. Though it is quite hypocritical, isn't it? Because, and he allowed me say this, Joshua Smith is doing the exact same thing I'm doing, but they haven't removed him. Now, I know why they isn't. Why they be not. I could make a big to-do out of it and say, oh, it's sexism. But no, it's not. They realized the backlash they got with me and realized that none of them would survive removing another person. So it has nothing to do with my gender. But I just want to just want to point out the utter hypocrisy, okay? Because my social media is no different than Joshua Smith's. My Patreon is smaller than Joshua Smith's. My YouTube channel is smaller than his. But I'm the one who was removed. You guys suck. Not that I want you to remove Joshua. That's not it. And again, I got his permission because I didn't want to put a target on his back. But he really, like, is all out of fucks to give type thing. But yeah, so if you can assist at patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty, I would greatly, greatly appreciated it. And as far as Mr. Vampire Hunter, I don't want to sleep with you, so I'm sorry you don't like my hair. I think you're a little old to be trolling people on YouTube. So fuck off. All right, here we go now. I wanted to show you my shirt. This is part of the merch you can get. So I did say this came in and I wanted to show it to you. It says, if it takes an asteroid hitting Earth to get rid of Karen Ann Harlos, then I will vote for the asteroid. So you can get this in my show at tinyurl.com/Pink Flame merch. And the back is, can you see? Monetize the hate, baby. Monetize the hate. And that is what I'm doing. I've actually done decently well on my merch store. So if you would like to get the Asteroid Hate shirt, please check it out. I also ordered the Don't Steal My Hair shirt. I can't get centered here. And that should be coming in soon. And also, I'm going to be ordering the Reno Reset. I almost said Weno Reset. The Weno Reset shirt. So, and it's all in good fun, Vampire Hunter. If you hang around after I told you to go fuck yourself, then you're a friend of mine. Because I tell everyone that eventually. Alrighty, let's get on to Ms. Bilyeu, shall we? Shall we? Oh, boy. Let me go back in time here a little bit. I used to be a big fan of Whitney. I think she's changed. I could be wrong because I am a bit naive. I tend to like everybody until they show themselves to be horrible. Like, there's no in between for me. It's usually like, I really like them, there's no middle ground, and then they're fucking horrible. Because it takes a lot for me to turn on somebody. It really, really does. Hello, JJ. The negging has already happened, JJ. Vampire Hunter took care of that, so you are off duty for the rest of the afternoon, just so that you know. I've already been told I'm too old for pink hair, so you can chill. So yes, I used to be a huge fan of Whitney. Whitney was part of the Notorious 9, which was actually 10 because Nick's artwork can't count. I don't know what happened to her. I can point to a definitive point in time, though. She really changed when she became the chair of Texas. And she almost really changed, like, I don't want to say, and I also can pinpoint it to the amount of time when she stopped being a school teacher. I think being around kids made her a better person, and that perhaps she should go back to doing that, even though it is sucking off the government teat. I would rather her suck off the government teat than be this terrible person she is now. But maybe I was just naive. Maybe she's always been terrible and I didn't know. Now, some people wanted me to put the emails of Ms. Bilyeu in one video. So I am going to cover again the one really terrible email we looked at the other day so that people could just watch one video. But there probably will be sequels because I bet after this I'm going to get more emails about her terrible emails. And when I said emails, the other ones I'm covering today is actually a Discord message, but I'm treating them as all as emails because you get what I'm saying. It could have just as easily been by email, but it was Discord. Yeah, so there probably will be subsequent parts if people send me more. The first email we will cover is the one I did the other day. This is the rude, nasty, she should be censured as National Party Chair one. The second one is the what a fucking hypocrite edition. When it comes to her friends, no character, no ethics, unprincipled. Okay, and it pains me to say that because I used to look up to Whitney as a successful, powerful woman. Why are so many women in leadership terrible? Please don't do that. You're giving all of us a bad name, even those of us who are too old for pink hair. Okay, so let's pull up the first terrible one that we had covered the other day, because it really is a gem. It's a masterpiece. Crap, I forgot to bring a drink. These really need drinks. And I never made an intermission screen so I could run over to the fridge over there and get a drink. But let's pull up the first one. You are looking at my screen, aren't you? And I'm trying to click on things. Let me go back to me. I'm such a fucking boomer. Let me find it here. It's not on, where's my downloads? Boy, am I terrible. Let me find it here. Okay, here's the first one. So let me pull, that's nice. That's nice. Let's pull this up now. Let's look at the glory. Let's look at the glory of this again. So here's Ms. Bilyeu, and I have censored the name because people are scared of reprisals. And let me take off that scrolling thing because it's cutting off some of the email, and I've already done my grifting. So let me find where that's at. There it is. Okay. So the one on the bottom is the inquiry. Terra DeSisto says petitions against boards are acts of aggression. Remember, the background to this is a recall petition against the Libertarian Party of Massachusetts, which is a member right under their bylaws. Hello, Stephen. Is my sound good? Because I got the hello makes me really wonder. He says this is not libertarianism, and the fact that she has a paid position, she's paid national staffer, is troubling. I am asking for her removal immediately. Also, will public comment ever be allowed in meetings again? Whitney Bilyeu has banned them in the last few. Alrighty, so here's Ms. Bilyeu's response. Remember, she is the National Party Chair. She could have chosen to simply ignore this. Ken Molman was copied on it, as you can see above. And she could have just asked Ken to respond because Ken is much more diplomatic. Or they could have just all ignored it like they did the 1,000 and something emails written in support of me, because the LNC is way beyond the point of pretending that they care what members say. And the screenshots that I'm getting from you guys of the messages you are sending with your renewals, those are delicious as well. I can guarantee you that the rest of the LNC is not being informed, though, of your messages. See, staff, though I love them, might be telling Whitney about these messages. And I would guarantee they probably are. I don't think Tyler would keep that from Whitney, but Whitney certainly is not informing the rest of the LNC of the hate that the LNC is getting for their absolutely tyrannitarian bullshit. But here's Ms. Bilyeu's response. There seems to be a great deal of confusion about what libertarianism is, and I'm guessing you're not the leading expert, but thanks for the heads up. That was bitchy. And I want to point out again what's implied by her statement. A, you don't write a member with that tone. This is the person that pays the salaries of the people at National. This is the person that makes it possible for there to be a party for you to be head of. You treat members as if they're a bother when they don't agree with you. And when it's LNC members that don't agree with you, you use your power and remove them. I hope the delegates bitch slap the LNC this Reno. They may not. But you want to know what? As I've said multiple times, I can accept what the delegates do. I don't have to like it, but I can accept it. I neither accept nor like this rogue and corrupt LNC. So, let's see, though, what's implied here. The complaint by the person on the bottom of what wasn't libertarianism was Ms. DeSisto's comment that recall positions are aggression, and he is saying that is not libertarianism. And that is categorically 100% correct. Yet Whitney tells him, you seem to be confused about what libertarianism is, and you're not an expert, obviously. So is she saying that recall petitions are aggression? What's that Kermit meme? Let me go sideways here. I'm not saying that recall petitions aren't aggression, but I don't know anything about that. What a piece of work. And she has turned off comments at meetings. Now, it hasn't been several meetings. The commenter was wrong there. But it was the last meeting. She not only didn't allow public comment, she turned off chat, which is why I live streamed my ass for 5.5 hours providing commentary. I'll never get those 5.5 hours back. I remember it. And when time ran out in Massachusetts, she cut off public comment. These are people who traveled. Like, we're not talking about the minimum amount of commitment, though I still do think it's a commitment that you should respect, of attending a Zoom meeting. You're talking about people who got their ass in a car and drove, or got their ass on a plane and flew to go to this LNC meeting, and when the 20 minutes are up, they're up as far as she's concerned. And I'll remind you, I got to see if this is on tape. Remind me, I just really don't like watching the September meeting. It gives me PTSD. That was the removal meeting. But if you remember, I had politely reminded Whitney about a tradition that the LNC had of things that get requested first to be put on the agenda are put on the agenda in order first, within the standard order of business. And remember what she said to me, you people who are there remember, she looked at me and said, "That's not my tradition." Who gives a fuck about your tradition? You're not the LNC, Miss Thing. The LNC has a custom. It doesn't matter if it's your custom. Like, oh my God, the arrogance. But anyway, I sure hope she don't run Texas that way. And for those of you who are in Texas who think she's great, I know some of you don't. She's not great on the LNC. She might be great in Texas. Not trying to insult Texas. Texas isn't my state, isn't my business. I stay out of it until there's corruption or I'm specifically invited by members of Texas, which I have not been. So now let's go to the new material, which is a Discord chat that I'm just going to call emails for the sake of simplicity. This one, there is a little bit of rudeness in it, but it's the hypocrisy. That's the big thing. Because I'm going to myself, how do you sleep at night, chickadee? Now, remember, I know technically nepotism is relatives and things like that, but I call this friendship nepotism because the reason she sent that nasty email to that person we just read is because Tara DeSisto is a friend of hers. And when you're a friend of hers, she can overlook a lot of really terrible things that you do. This next conversation is about another friend of hers who happens to be another National Party staffer, which is Becca Condon, who is the vice chair of Texas. Now, me personally, I've never had a run-in or an issue with Becca. I have had run-ins and issues with Tara, but I never have with Becca. I've heard she shit-talks me behind my back, but whatever. I never seen any screenshots or anything of that, so that's a rumor as far as I'm concerned. I personally have never had an issue with her. However, a lot of my friends have, and she said some really shitty things about, say, New Hampshire. You know, vice chair of Texas, national staffer should have absolutely nothing to say about New Hampshire. She needs to mind her own business. But I've been told by we're probably going on 24 people now, that when I've asked them if they've planned to be a delegate in Texas, they said, well, not if Becca has anything to do with it. And that's my objection to staff members being on state boards. You've got a staff member whose job depends upon who is elected LNC, who is in the second largest state in the country, helping to rig who gets to be a delegate, is the people who gets to vote on who gets to keep her job. If you don't see the conflict of interest there, now if the LNC thinks my little YouTube channel was a conflict of interest, even though I was elected with delegates knowing I had this channel and that was monetized and that I talked about things that had to do with the LNC, how the fuck is having a National Party member keeping people who might vote for her not to have a job any longer as delegates not a conflict of interest? How is that not corrupt? I don't know. It is corrupt. That's how it's not corrupt. It isn't. It is corrupt, I mean. Okay? And before we move on to it, Dave had a question. Well, first let me put up Ryan here. Yeah, people should have just started doing that until they opened it up for longer. And the rest of the LNC, I think, is scared of her because it used to be that people would object to that sort of thing. But again, you have the current quote unquote secretary saying, well, I'm not going to include the names of people in the gallery any longer either. Those people paid money and traveled to be there. So you know what my happy ass is doing? I'm asking all around. If you were there, you will be in my unofficial minutes because you deserve to be recognized for coming to that LNC meeting. It's ridiculous. And Whitney thanked him for streamlining the minutes. And have you seen his minutes? They aren't streamlined, by the way. Where is Susan Hogarth's complaint? And Amanda, I completely respect your experiences. Like I said, people in Texas can have completely different experiences. And as I said too, Becca's never been personally shitty to me, ever. I'm just telling you what people have said to me about how she's been to them, and they have sent me screenshots. So it's not all he said, she said, though 80% of it is he said, she said. I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. I'll tell you exactly the evidence I have and the evidence I don't have. But she has publicly mouthed off about New Hampshire. And as a Texas vice chair and national staff member, she needs to keep her pie hole shut about New Hampshire. That's not her place. But people have sent me screenshots of shitty things she said to them. But again, most of it's he said, she said. And I personally have never had an issue with Becca. Just letting you know. Unlike Tara. Yeah, I just wanted that to be clear, Amanda, because being fair is very important to me. But the only reason Becca came into this conversation, because I really not looking to pick a fight with Becca, is because who Whitney is defending in this Discord is Becca. So you have Whitney saying shitty things to members in defense of Tara rather than disciplining Tara as she should. Now we'll have a Discord chat where somebody is complaining about Becca without screenshots, so I do not know if their complaints are valid, unlike the complaints against Tara, which are valid. And Whitney seems to concede the complaint is valid, but goes on to defend Becca. And I actually think Whitney is right in the way she's defending Becca, at least as far as concerns her position with Texas. I think what Whitney is saying about Becca here is absolutely right. The problem is she didn't accord me the same defense that she's according Becca. It's the hypocrisy that I have a problem with. So I hope I set that up right. I don't know, because I only have part of this conversation, if this member was also complaining about Becca in context of being a national staff member. Then Whitney's defense may not be justified. But from what I can understand, the defense is just in context of Becca being state of Texas vice chair. And if that is the only context, Whitney is absolutely correct to defend Becca. She's just a fucking hypocrite because she didn't extend me the same courtesy. So let's look at these screenshots now that I've given this long-ass intro. Let me find them. They're in this folder. There's 3 of them, so we have to pull them up in succession, okay? Let me make this large, and now let me share my screen. Wait, that's not the first one. I don't want to share my screen yet. 1 second. These aren't in order. Give me 1 second while I look at my screen here. Why didn't they save in order? I need the one. Give me 1 moment here. I'm so sorry. I usually save these in order. I'm looking for the one that... Okay, here's the first one. Okay. Let me make this large. Now let me share my screen. Okay, there's the screen. Now let me find it. Here we go. Okay, you can see up at the top here the context. And I, again, removed this person's name at their request because this, at least at this time, was a person in Texas. I don't know if they're still in Texas. And they don't want to be punished. So you could see at the top, this person, and this conversation goes back a year, just so you know the time frame. A year and a half. So before Whitney was national chair. And And this member is asking for help. You see up at the top is his last sentence to Whitney. He says, "All I ask for is effort, and my eyes are not seeing effort. Instead, they are seeing Becca's divisive tweets." So this member is complaining about things that Becca is tweeting, apparently on her personal time, not on the LP Texas account, and not holding herself out to be speaking for Texas. Okay, this is very important. Okay. Now, the rest of this first part here, those first 3 paragraphs, is just explaining to this person why they did not get a certain volunteer position. I'm not aware of that. I think it's very nice that Whitney explained to them why they're not getting it. Where I want to start is where she gets a bit rude, first of all. "You do not need to tell me that there is work to be done." But she put the little smiley face on it because, it's hard in text. I try to be easy on people. Like that last email was inexcusable. There's no spin you can put on that. But this, I think Whitney realized, I don't really know how to say this that's not going to come across sounding a little blunt, so let me put the little smiley face after it. And I commend her for that. But then she goes on to be a bit patronizing. "Given that I've been actively involved with this party at all levels since 2012, I am well of the work we need to do. Some of us are doing it while others are just complaining about it." She seems to be insinuating that this member is just complaining about it. But in any event, it's not appropriate for neither the national chair, which she wasn't at this time, or the state chair of Texas to be dissing members like this. It's like she's always this put upon martyr. I'm doing all this and all these self-appointed experts are coming at me, or I'm doing all of this and others are just complaining about it. It's just a completely inappropriate tone. Okay, now that's just the slightly rude part, but it's not terrible. And I'm not going to pretend like that part was terrible. So let me find now the second screenshot, the one that goes in order. Before I pull it up, I want to make sure I have the right one. Okay, yep. So let me pull this up. Here's where the hypocrisy starts. And I'm sorry, if anyone does not see the hypocrisy here, you're just not being fair. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like what I say. You can think Whitney's the best thing since sliced bread. But everyone should be able to admit the utter absolute hypocrisy here if you know anything at all about what she said about me or what she did to me in removing me. Here we go. So you can see up at the top there, it's continuing from the other screenshot. You see that line while others are just complaining about it. "I don't manage Becca or any other officer or staff member's time. She can do with her personal time and her own name whatever she chooses. She is not a paid employee of LP Texas, yet she is most definitely fulfilling her duties to LP Texas as VC in more ways that you could know, giving more hours than anyone else I know to the party at all levels each day. Fact. Internal personality conflicts have nothing to do with winning elections." And then she goes on because he talks about elections. We're not going to get into that because that is not part of, we're going to just deal now with that paragraph I just did. Really, Whitney? Well, let's read that last paragraph again. Before I give my commentary, let's just read everything that's relevant. She says, "I will state again that just because some of us don't get along or they disagree doesn't mean the party isn't functioning or moving forward." Okay, now let's go to the next screenshot, which will be the third one. And just give me 1 second, I'll pull it up. Okay, let me make that large. "Our officers and staff do not cease to be individuals once they take a position within the party. What someone does in the name of the party is a concern. What someone does on their own name is on their own time in their own name is not. I have nothing else to say about that. You fucking hypocrite." Okay. Let's go back now. So, what you can see is going on here is that Becca got a bit divisive on Twitter, on her own time and in her own name, and pissed some people off. Fine. I do that all the time. And this person was asking for something to be done about it. It seems like he was asking for Becca to be disciplined or removed. And what did Whitney say? All I have to say about that is what somebody does on their own time and in their own name is their own business. And that's all I have to say about that. Yet she didn't grant me that. I never, ever said any of my things that they didn't like in the party name. Ever. I always made it clear, and I can give you screenshots where I said multiple times that all opinions are my own and should never be imputed as the opinion of the National Party. I never used my position in that way. I can't not be my position, just like Becca couldn't not be her position. But Whitney made it clear that people do not stop being individuals just because they take a position in the party. Well, why the fuck didn't you do that to me, you fucking hypocritical person? God, it makes me angry. She's right here. Whitney is absolutely right here. But it's because her friend, that was her friend. So she accords her friends different justice, different process, and different courtesies than someone who's critical of her. Because if you get critical of her, then you've got to go. Burn the witch. This woman has no place being national chair. Anyone who does not see the utter hypocrisy there is lying to yourself, and you're not an honest person. That really pissed me off. Whitney was absolutely right in everything she said about Becca. Becca has the freedom to say whatever she wants in her own time and in her own name. Now, there's a difference when she's paid national staff. When you're paid staff, and notice she clarified there at the time that Becca was not paid LP Texas staff, because there would have been a difference if she was paid staff. I wasn't paid as national secretary, and I was elected talking just as I did with the stuff they removed me for. And DJ7 has it right. Whitney did this because it was convenient, because it was a person she liked. You all need to hold this woman to account. Whether you like me or not, one thing very few people can accuse me of, and if they ever bring forth proof that I have been what I'm going to say next, I really examine it, and I offer apologies or I change. One thing Mama is not, one thing Mama does is bring receipts, and I brought my receipts, babies. But Mama also isn't a hypocrite or inconsistent. I'm so fucking consistent, it scares me sometimes. Like, I look at things I said 4 years ago in situations, and I'm like, holy shit, I am consistent. Ruthlessly consistent. And let me tell you a story. I'm not going to say the state, because it doesn't matter, and it's a private conversation, but I'll give you the vignette. Just the other day, somebody was asking me in a parliamentarian sense, what is the processes to remove somebody they don't like? Now me, I've happened now to be the expert on fucking removals. I never wanted to be that. But I said, I'm going to give you two opinions right now. I'm going to look at your bylaws, and I'm going to tell you my parliamentary opinion. Then I'm going to take that hat off, and I'm going to tell you my personal opinion. Now, let me tell you, the person they were looking to remove is someone I can't stand. It's someone who has been an asshole to me for about 5 years now. But when I took off my parliamentary hat and I gave him my personal opinion, I said removing people is bullshit. I go, they were an asshole when they were elected. They're still an asshole now. The delegates are allowed to elect assholes. If you don't like this guy, remove him at the next election. That's how you do it. You don't try to remove people from elected positions when they are no different now than they were when they got elected. So I was defending somebody who has been really, really terrible to me. Why? Because principle matters. Because I'm consistent. I don't advocate for people's removal just because I don't like them. Did they change? Are they a different person than the delegates elected? Well, then maybe we talk. Did they have some kind of weird conversion or personality change where the delegates didn't get what they bought? Okay, let's talk. But if they're the same person they were when the delegates elect them, guess what, babies? The delegates have the right to elect people you don't like. Boo-hoo. That Discord conversation is disgusting. Disgusting in its hypocrisy. She was right there. She was wrong with me. Everyone on that LNC should be utterly ashamed of themselves, except for the 6 people that would have voted no or abstained in protest like Ken Mollman did. So hopefully that was a bit eye-opening. Again, those of you who are in Texas who think she's wonderful in Texas, she was acting in her role as Texas in that Discord conversation, and she was right. So I actually would not blame you if you think she's wonderful in Texas, because I think she was right in her defense of Becca. Where she's wrong is that she didn't apply that same standard when it was she that was being skewered. So she thought it was perfectly fine for this member that complained to her to get skewered by Becca. But it's not okay when it's her ox that's being gored. Hypocrisy, thy name is Whitney Bilyeu. And that's all I have to say about that, as she said. All right, everyone. That is another short one, wasn't it? Barely over 30 minutes. I'm going to be heading off. Yeah. So I hope I didn't ruffle anyone's feathers. That was not my intent. And again, tried to represent as fairly as I possibly could. Are you seeing that? Okay, you're not seeing this one thing that popped up on my screen. A weird thing popped up on my screen, but you aren't seeing it, so that's good. All right, so I'm going to get going. I need to record my radio show today. I think I need to go run and get something to eat first because I'm hungry. Yeah, tonight I will probably be doing some LP history. And another thing I'm going to do on it, I am going to continue with the So You Want to Be a National Party Delegate But Don't Know How series. That was put on hold during the period of my appeal and all that because I didn't really know what to call myself. You know, I needed to know what my fate was, I guess, as it were. And for a while, I considered not continuing doing it because it was being done as a favor to the National Party. And I'm not a fan of the LNC, but I keep having to step back and go, the LNC is not the party. I don't have a beef with the party. I have a beef with the LNC. And since this is something that's done for the delegates for the party, then I'm going to continue to do it. If it was a favor to the LNC, they could kiss my ass. I wouldn't do it. But it's not a favor to them. It's to the delegates, and I will always serve the delegates that elected me. All right, everyone. I hope you have an awesome day. And I will probably see you this evening unless Wayne wants to go out and do something. But he's working today, so we don't know. Bye-bye.
Gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians or choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business, not because